Marcus Chen stood in the middle of the great hall. His hands were tied behind his back with metal chains that glowed with alien energy. Around him, 12 different alien species sat on tall chairs that looked like thrones. Their eyes stared down at him with cold hatred. The room was huge. The walls were made of some kind of blue crystal that seemed to pulse with its own light. High above, the ceiling showed the stars and planets of the galaxy. Marcus had been here for 3 days now. 3 days of listening to aliens talk about why humans were dangerous. "Commander Marcus Chen," said the creature in the center chair. Its voice sounded like breaking glass. This was Veltar, the leader of the Zephyrian Empire. His body looked like a giant snake, but he had 4 arms and skin that changed colors when he was angry. Right now, his skin was deep red. "You stand accused of crimes against the cosmic order." Marcus kept his face blank. He had learned long ago not to show fear to bullies. And that was all these aliens were. Bullies who were scared of humans. "The crime," continued another alien, this one looking like a walking tree with too many eyes, "is refusing to give up human colonies to the rightful rulers of those sectors." Marcus almost laughed. Rightful rulers? These aliens had tried to take human worlds by force. When humans fought back and won, suddenly it became a crime. "The human species," said a third alien that looked like a giant insect, "has shown they cannot follow galactic law. They are too violent, too stubborn. They refuse to know their place." "Our place?" Marcus finally spoke. His voice was calm and clear. "And where exactly is our place?" Veltar's skin turned darker red. "Beneath your betters, human. You are a young race. You should learn from those who have ruled the galaxy for millions of years." "Ruled?" Marcus shook his head. "You mean the same rulers who let the Krex pirates attack trade ships for 50 years without doing anything? The same rulers who watched the stellar plague kill billions on Outer Rim worlds because it was too expensive to help them?" The alien judges made angry sounds. Some hissed. Others clicked their teeth or mandibles. "Silence." Veltar slammed one of his 4 hands on his chair. "You prove our point, human. Your kind has no respect. No understanding of order." An alien that looked like a floating jellyfish with glowing tentacles spoke next. "The human colonies in the Kepler sector were supposed to be given to the Zephyrian Empire as tribute. You not only refused this lawful order, but you destroyed 3 Zephyrian fleets." Marcus smiled a little. "Those fleets came to take our people as slaves. We defended ourselves. Alokan from the Larm, we have lead in the 7th. Defended?" The insect alien made a sound like screaming metal. "You used illegal weapons. You fought dirty. You showed no honor." "Honor?" Marcus looked around the room. Where was the honor in trying to enslave families? Where was the honor in attacking civilian settlements first? Honor. "Enough!" Veltar rose from his chair. He was huge, at least 12 feet tall. "The Galactic Tribunal has decided your fate, Marcus Chen. You will be sent to Korath Prime." The room went silent. Even the other alien judges looked surprised. Some seemed scared. Marcus had heard of Class 15 Deathworlds before. Every spacefaring species knew about them. They were planets so dangerous that no known life form could survive on them for more than a few days. They were used as dumping grounds for nuclear waste and dangerous criminals who needed to disappear forever. "Korath Prime," Veltar continued, his skin now a sickly yellow color, "is a Class 15 Deathworld. The air burns your lungs. The rain is acid. The creatures that live there eat metal and stone. The gravity changes without warning. Even our most advanced robots cannot function there for more than a week." Marcus kept his face calm, but inside his mind was working fast. A death sentence. They were sentencing him to die slowly and horribly. "This sentence," said the tree-like alien, "will serve as a warning to your species. Humans who think they can challenge galactic order will suffer the same fate." "The transport ship is already prepared," added the jellyfish creature. "You will be taken there immediately. Your survival gear will last 3 days. After that, It made a sound that might have been laughter. Marcus looked around the room one more time. These aliens thought they were so smart. They thought they understood humans. But they had made one big mistake. "I have a right to final words," Marcus said. Veltar nodded. "Speak your last words to the galaxy, human. Let them know what happens to those who defy us." Marcus stood up straighter. Even with his hands tied, he looked proud and strong. "My name is Marcus Chen," he said in a loud, clear voice. "I am a human from Earth. I fought to protect my people. And I am not ashamed of that. You aliens think you know what humans are. You think we are just another weak species that will bow down to you." He smiled then, and it was not a nice smile. "But you have never really tested us, have you? You have never seen what humans can do when we have nothing left to lose. You want to send me to your worst Deathworld? Fine. I accept your challenge." The aliens looked confused. This was not how condemned criminals usually acted. "You think Korath Prime will kill me?" Marcus continued. "You think it will break me? You think I will die screaming your names and begging for mercy?" Veltar's skin was changing colors rapidly now. You do not understand. Nothing survives on Korath Prime." "Nothing," Marcus laughed. It was a sound that made some of the alien judges step back from their chairs. "That is where you are wrong," he said. "You are not sending me to die. You are giving me a chance to show you what humans really are. When I survive your worst Deathworld, when I make it my home, remember this moment. Remember that you had a chance to be our friends." He looked straight at Veltar. "I will send you a postcard." The alien guards came then to take him away. As they dragged him from the room, Marcus could hear the aliens talking frantically among themselves. Some were laughing at his words. Others sounded worried. Marcus did not care. He had work to do. A Deathworld was waiting for him, and he was going to show these aliens what humans could really accomplish. The transport ship was small and cold. As it carried him away from the civilized galaxy toward Korath Prime, Marcus closed his eyes and began to plan. He would need to be smart. He would need to be strong. But most of all, he would need to be human. The transport ship shook violently as it entered Korath Prime's atmosphere. Marcus was thrown against the walls of his small prison cell as the ship fought against winds that could tear apart mountains. Through the tiny window, he could see the planet below. It looked like something from a nightmare. The sky was the color of old blood, filled with swirling storms that crackled with purple lightning. The ground was covered in sharp crystal formations that looked like giant teeth trying to bite the sky. In the distance, Marcus could see geysers of green liquid shooting up hundreds of feet into the air. "Prepare for emergency landing," said the ship's computer in the cold voice that all alien machines used. "Passenger survival chances, 0%. Marcus gripped the metal bench he was sitting on. The ship was falling now, spinning out of control. Through the window, the crystal formations were getting bigger and bigger. The crash was terrible. Marcus woke up with blood in his mouth and pain in his ribs. The transport ship was broken into pieces around him. Half of it was buried in the crystal ground. The other half was on fire, burning with flames that were bright blue instead of orange. He looked around quickly. His emergency pack had survived the crash. Inside were 3 bottles of water, some food bars that tasted like cardboard, a basic shelter kit, a small tool set, and a survival manual. The manual had a picture of a green, friendly-looking planet on the cover. Marcus laughed bitterly. This was definitely not a green, friendly planet. The air outside smelled like burning metal and rotten eggs. When Marcus breathed it in, his throat felt like it was on fire. But he could breathe. That was something. He set up his emergency shelter just as the first acid rain began to fall. The rain was not like water. It was thick and green, and when it hit the ground, it made small explosions. Where it touched the crystal formations, they began to smoke and change color. Marcus watched a piece of metal from the crashed ship dissolve completely in minutes. Inside his shelter, Marcus read the survival manual by the light of a small electric torch. The manual talked about finding fresh water, building fires, and avoiding dangerous animals. It did not say anything about acid rain or crystal storms or gravity that changed without warning. On his second day, Marcus met his first Korath predator. He was trying to collect some of the crystal pieces to use as tools when he heard a sound like metal scraping against stone. Behind him, something growled. Marcus turned around slowly. The creature looked like a wolf, but it was made of living metal. Its fur was like thin wires that sparked with electricity. Its eyes glowed red, and its teeth were long and sharp enough to cut through steel. It was bigger than any wolf Marcus had ever seen. Probably 200 pounds of muscle and metal. The creature, Marcus decided to call it a razor wolf, circled him carefully. It was smart. It was studying him, trying to figure out what kind of prey he was. Marcus had no weapon except a small knife from his toolkit. Against a creature like this, the knife would be useless. But Marcus had something the razor wolf did not expect. He had fought aliens who were bigger and stronger than him. He had learned that size and strength were not everything. Intelligence was what mattered. The razor wolf attacked with amazing speed. But instead of running or fighting, Marcus did something else. He grabbed 2 of the crystal pieces and struck them together as hard as he could. The crystals made a sound like a church bell, but much louder. The sound seemed to hurt the razor wolf's sensitive ears. It stopped attacking and backed away. Shaking its head, Marcus struck the crystals together again. This time, the razor wolf ran away. Marcus sat down on a crystal rock and started thinking. The creature had not been stupid. It had been careful and smart. That meant it could learn. And if it could learn, maybe Marcus could teach it. Over the next few days, Marcus explored more of the area around his crash site. He found that the acid rain followed patterns. It rained for exactly 2 hours every morning, then stopped for 6 hours, then rained again for 1 hour in the evening. The geysers of green liquid also followed patterns. They erupted every 4 hours, always in the same places. Marcus tasted the liquid carefully and found that it was not poison. In fact, it had minerals that his body needed. The gravity changes were harder to understand, but even they had patterns. The gravity got stronger near the large crystal formations and weaker in the open areas between them. On his 5th day, the razor wolf came back. This time, Marcus was ready. Instead of striking the crystals to scare it away, he broke apart one of his food bars and threw a piece toward the creature. The razor wolf sniffed the food but did not eat it. It was too smart to trust food from a stranger. Marcus ate a piece of the food bar himself, then threw another piece closer to the wolf. This time, the creature ate it quickly. For the next hour, Marcus and the razor wolf sat 10 feet apart, eating food and watching each other. The wolf's electrical fur had stopped sparking. Its red eyes looked curious instead of hungry. When the food was gone, the wolf left. But the next day, it came back. By the end of his first week on Korath Prime, Marcus had made several important discoveries. The planet was not just a random collection of deadly things. It was a complex system where everything was connected. The acid rain fed the crystal formations, which grew and changed shape. The crystal formations controlled the gravity fields. The gravity fields affected the geysers, which provided water and minerals for the few plants that could grow here. And the razor wolves were not just mindless predators. They were intelligent pack hunters who had learned to use the planet's strange properties to their advantage. Marcus also discovered that his emergency beacon was still working. It was designed to send a signal to any rescue ships that might be looking for him, but Marcus was starting to think that maybe he did not want to be rescued just yet. On his 10th day, during the morning acid rain, Marcus made his biggest discovery yet. He was hiding in his shelter when he noticed that some of the crystal formations were not being damaged by the acid rain. Instead, they were growing. The acid was not destroying them. It was feeding them. Marcus waited for the rain to stop, then went to examine the crystals more closely. When he touched them, they felt warm. They were not just growing, they were alive in some way. That night, Marcus had a crazy idea. If the crystals could use the acid rain to grow, maybe he could use them too. Maybe he could build things with them. Maybe he could make tools, weapons, even buildings. He spent the next 3 days experimenting with the crystals. He learned how to shape them, how to make them grow in different directions, how to combine different types to get different properties. By the end of his second week on Korath Prime, Marcus had built a new shelter that was twice as big as his emergency one. It was made entirely of living crystal that filtered the air and collected clean water from the acid rain. He had also made friends with 3 different razor wolves. They had started bringing him small gifts. Interesting crystal pieces, strange plants, even small creatures that were good to eat. On his 14th night, as he sat in his crystal shelter watching the purple lightning dance across the sky, Marcus activated his emergency beacon. But instead of calling for rescue, he sent a different kind of message. "This is Marcus Chen," he said into the beacon's transmitter. "I am alive and well on Korath Prime. Send me mining equipment, construction supplies, and anyone else you want to get rid of. This planet is not a death sentence. It is an opportunity. Somewhere far away, in the civilized galaxy, alien leaders would soon be getting a message that would change everything they thought they knew about humans and Deathworlds." Marcus smiled as he turned off the beacon. He had work to do. 3 months after his crash landing, Marcus had turned his small area of Korath Prime into something that looked almost comfortable. His crystal shelter had grown into a complex of connected buildings. He had learned to farm the strange plants that grew in the mineral-rich soil. His pack of razor wolf friends had grown to 12, and they helped him hunt the larger creatures that lived deeper in the crystal forests. Marcus was checking his water collection system when he heard something that made him freeze. Someone was singing. The voice was like wind blowing through crystal caves, beautiful but strange. It was coming from the direction of the tall crystal spires that Marcus had not yet explored. Marcus picked up his crystal-tipped spear and followed the sound. The razor wolves sensed his tension and followed him silently. They had learned to trust his instincts. The singing led him to a valley between 2 massive crystal formations. In the center of the valley was something Marcus had never seen before: a city. But it was a city unlike any human city. The buildings were grown, not built. They were made of the same living crystal as Marcus's shelter. But these were ancient. They had been growing for thousands of years. Some were as tall as skyscrapers, twisted and beautiful like frozen music, and the city was dying. Most of the crystal buildings were gray and cracked. Plants had grown over many of them. In some places, the crystal had turned black and brittle. The singing Marcus had heard was sad and lonely. As he got closer, Marcus saw the singer. It looked like a person made of living crystal, but not like the rough crystals Marcus had learned to work with. This being was made of crystal that was clear and smooth like diamond. Light seemed to flow through its body in patterns that changed as it moved. The being saw Marcus and stopped singing. For a long moment, they stared at each other. "You are the flesh creature," the being said. Its voice still sounded like wind in caves, but now Marcus could understand the words. "The one who fell from the sky and did not die." Marcus lowered his spear but kept it ready. "I am Marcus Chen. Are you from here? From this planet?" "I am Nexus," the being replied. "I am Karathi. And yes, this is our world. Or was our world. We are the last." Nexus moved closer. Marcus could see that its crystal body was not solid. Light and energy flowed through it like blood. Its face was beautiful but sad in a way that made Marcus's heart hurt. "Last?" Marcus asked. "There were millions of us once," Nexus said, looking around at the dying city. "We built these cities when this world was young. We shaped the crystals and learned to live with the storms and the acid rain. But the world changed. It became angrier, more violent. We could not adapt fast enough." Nexus pointed to the black, dead crystal buildings. "Our people tried to fight the changes. They built barriers to stop the acid rain. They tried to control the crystal growth. They fought against what this world was becoming." "And it killed them?" Marcus asked. "Slowly, one by one. The barriers failed. The controlled crystals died. Those who could not change with the world faded away." Nexus looked at Marcus with something like wonder. "But you are different. You do not fight the world. You dance with it. Marcus thought about this. It was true. Instead of trying to stop the acid rain, he had learned to use it. Instead of avoiding the razor wolves, he had made friends with them. Instead of hiding from the strange gravity, he had learned to move with it. Would you like me to show you what I have learned? Marcus asked. For the next several hours, Marcus showed Nexus his settlement. He demonstrated how to shape the living crystals, how to collect clean water from acid rain, how to grow food in the mineral soil. Nexus watched everything with growing excitement. The light patterns flowing through its body became brighter and faster. Amazing, Nexus whispered as Marcus showed how to communicate with the razor wolves using crystal sounds. In 3 months, you have learned things it took our people centuries to discover. And you have learned new things that we never thought possible. Your people were thinking like architects, Marcus said, trying to find the right words. You wanted to build permanent things that would never change. But this world is always changing. You have to think like a surfer. Surfer? Marcus grinned. Someone who rides waves instead of fighting them. Nexus was quiet for a long time. Finally, it spoke again. Will you come with me? There are things you should see. Things that might help you understand why this world is so valuable. Nexus led Marcus deep into the Crystal City, to buildings that were still alive and growing. Inside, Marcus saw wonders that took his breath away. There were crystal computers that could think and learn. There were energy sources that could power entire cities. There were growing chambers where new types of crystal could be created with specific properties. But most amazing of all were the deep caves beneath the city. These tunnels go all the way to the planet's core, Nexus explained as they descended through passages lined with glowing crystal. This world sits on deposits of rare minerals that exist nowhere else in the galaxy. Marcus saw veins of metal that sparkled like stars, crystal formations that hummed with their own energy, pools of liquid that could dissolve any substance or, with the right treatment, heal any injury. Your galactic empires think this is a death world, Nexus said. They do not realize it is the richest planet in the galaxy. They see only danger where we see resources. Why didn't your people mine these resources? Marcus asked. You could have become the richest civilization in the galaxy. Nexus made a sound like wind chimes in a gentle breeze. Marcus realized it was laughing. We were not interested in riches, Marcus Chen. We were interested in knowledge and beauty. We wanted to understand the universe, not rule it. Perhaps that was our mistake. As they returned to the surface, Marcus's mind was racing with possibilities. This planet was not just habitable, it was a treasure house. But it would take the right kind of people to unlock its secrets, people who could adapt, people who could work with the planet instead of against it. Over the next few weeks, Marcus and Nexus worked together. Marcus taught Nexus about human engineering and adaptability. Nexus taught Marcus about Korathi crystal technology and the planet's hidden resources. They were not the only ones learning. Marcus's emergency beacon had been broadcasting his progress reports. Some people in the galaxy were starting to pay attention. The first ship arrived on a day when the crystal storms were particularly beautiful. It was a small smuggler's vessel, battered and old. Marcus watched it land near his settlement and wondered what kind of desperate person would come to a Class 15 Deathworld voluntarily. The ship's airlock opened, and a woman stepped out. She was human, but her skin had strange markings that suggested she had alien DNA mixed with human. Her clothes were practical and worn. She carried no weapons, which meant she was either very confident or very stupid. "Are you the human who sent the message about opportunities on this death world?" she asked. "I am Marcus Chen," he replied. "And you are?" "Captain Zara Okafor. I run cargo to places where other people won't go. I heard you were looking for supplies and people." She looked around at Marcus's crystal settlement, at the razor wolves lounging in the shade, at Nexus who had come out to see the visitor. "Well," she said with a grin, "this is definitely not what I expected from a death world." Marcus smiled back. "It is not a death world," he said. "It is a new beginning. Are you interested in staying?" Zara looked around again, taking in the impossible sight of a thriving settlement on humanity's most feared death sentence. "You know what?" she said. "I think I am." Marcus's colony had its first voluntary settler. But she would not be the last. 2 years after his exile, Marcus stood on the highest tower of New Korath City and watched the third cargo ship of the week land on the crystal landing pad below. The city had grown beyond anything he had imagined when he first crashed on this world. What had started as his small crystal settlement was now a sprawling metropolis of living buildings that grew and adapted to their inhabitants' needs. Humans, Korathi, and dozens of other alien species worked together in the crystal foundries, the mineral processing plants, and the vertical farms that fed the growing population. Captain Zara had been the first to arrive, but she was far from the last. Word had spread through the galaxy's underground networks. Smugglers, refugees, exiles, rebels, and anyone else who had been cast out by the great empires. They came to Korath Prime not because they wanted to die, but because they wanted to live free. "Marcus," came Nexus's voice from behind him. The Korathi leader had become his closest advisor and friend. Its crystal body now glowed with patterns that Marcus had learned meant excitement. "We have received another broadcast from the Galactic Tribunal. They are demanding a status report on your execution." Marcus laughed. The tribunal had been sending these messages for months, each one more desperate than the last. First, they had wanted proof of his death. Then they had demanded explanations for the impossible signals coming from Korath Prime. Now they were threatening to send a fleet to investigate irregularities. "Let me see it," Marcus said. The message appeared on a crystal screen that grew from the tower wall. Veltar's serpentine face filled the display, his skin the angry red color that Marcus remembered from his trial. "Human Marcus Chen," Veltar's voice hissed from the crystal speakers. "The Galactic Tribunal demands immediate confirmation of your status. Unauthorized signals have been detected from Korath Prime. This is impossible. No life can survive on a Class 15 Deathworld." The message paused, and Veltar leaned closer to his own camera. His multiple eyes were wide, with something that looked like fear. "If you are somehow still alive, know that your defiance means nothing. Korath Prime is a quarantined world. No galactic power recognizes any claims to its territory. You have no legal status, no protection, no rights." Marcus turned off the display and looked out over his city again. In the distance, he could see the massive mining operations that Zara now managed. Korathi crystal technology had made it possible to extract the planet's rare minerals without damaging the ecosystem. The profits from selling these materials to the black market had funded everything from advanced medical equipment to defensive systems. "No rights?" Marcus said to Nexus. "We will see about that." He activated the city's communication system. His voice would now be broadcast across the galaxy on every frequency that smugglers, traders, and rebels monitored. "This is Marcus Chen, speaking from New Korath City on Korath Prime. 2 years ago, the Galactic Tribunal sent me here to die. Instead, I have built something new. Something better." Marcus paused, choosing his words carefully. He knew that millions of people across the galaxy were listening. Korath Prime is no longer a death world. It is a free world. Here, we do not care what species you are, what crimes you have been accused of, or what empire wants to control you. Here, you are judged by what you contribute and how you treat others. He looked down at the bustling city streets below. Humans worked alongside crystalline Korathi. Refugees from the Outer Rim Wars learned new trades from escaped slaves of the Zephyrian Empire. Former pirates used their skills to design defensive systems, while ex-military officers from a dozen different species trained new arrivals in survival techniques. We have built factories that turn this planet's resources into tools and weapons. We have grown food in soil that was supposed to be poison. We have made friends with creatures that were supposed to be monsters. We have taken the galaxy's greatest punishment and turned it into its greatest opportunity. Marcus's voice grew stronger as he continued. "To anyone listening who wants a new life, you are welcome here. To anyone who has been cast out by the empires, betrayed by the powerful, or forgotten by the rich, Korath Prime offers you a home." He paused again, then delivered his final message. And to the Galactic Tribunal and all the empires that think they rule the galaxy. Your quarantine of Korath Prime is now ended. This world is under the protection of the Korathi Human Alliance. Any attempt to attack our people or our territory will be met with force. Marcus ended the broadcast and turned to Nexus. How long do you think it will take them to respond? Not long, Nexus replied. The light patterns in its body were shifting to colors that meant concern. They cannot allow your success to inspire others. Too many oppressed peoples might realize they do not need the empires to survive. Nexus was right. Within days, emergency sessions were being called in capital cities across the galaxy. The Zephyrian Empire, the hegemony of Chris, the Crystal Throne Alliance, all the major powers were panicking. If humans could not only survive but thrive on a Class 15 Deathworld, what else were they capable of? If outcasts and refugees could build a successful civilization without imperial oversight, what did that say about the necessity of galactic government? Worse still, Korath Prime was becoming rich. The rare minerals and crystal technology that Marcus's people had developed were starting to appear on black markets throughout the galaxy. Imperial scientists who examined these materials reported that they were unlike anything they had ever seen. The breaking point came when a group of rebellion leaders from the Outer Rim declared that they were moving their operations to Korath Prime. Suddenly, the galaxy's most wanted revolutionaries had a safe haven that no Imperial fleet dared approach. 3 months after Marcus's broadcast, the response finally came. Attention illegal occupants of Korath Prime, came a new message from Veltar. This time, the Zephyrian leader was not alone. Representatives from 5 different empires stood behind him. You are in violation of Galactic Quarantine Law 847. You have 1 month to evacuate the planet and surrender yourselves for processing. Marcus watched the message with Zara and Nexus in the command center they had built at the heart of the city. Processing? Zara snorted. She had become Marcus's chief of security, and she had strong opinions about Imperial threats. They mean execution. The alternative, Veltar continued, is military action. A joint fleet of the galactic empires will arrive to remove the illegal settlement and restore proper quarantine procedures. The message ended with a list of the ships that would be coming, over 200 vessels from 6 different empires. It was the largest military force assembled in over a century. Marcus turned away from the display and walked to the window. Outside, people were going about their daily lives. Children played in the crystal gardens. Workers tended the mineral processing plants. Scientists conducted experiments in the underground laboratories. All of them were counting on him to keep them safe. Nexus, Marcus said quietly. How are the planetary defense systems coming along? The gravitational field generators are online, Nexus replied. The crystal storm amplifiers are ready. The Razor Wolf packs have been trained for combat operations. And Captain Zara has some very creative ideas for using the mining equipment as weapons. Marcus smiled. The empires thought they were coming to destroy a small settlement of refugees. They had no idea what Korath Prime had become. Good, he said. Send a reply to the empires. Tell them that Korath Prime accepts their challenge. Tell them that if they want our world, they are welcome to try to take it. Arif. He turned back to his friends, his advisors, his family. Tell them that we are not going anywhere. 5 years after his exile, Marcus stood in the command center of New Korath City and watched the largest fleet in galactic history approach his world. 237 warships from 6 different empires had come to destroy what he had built. Through the crystal displays that lined the command center walls, Marcus could see the enemy fleet taking position around Korath Prime. Massive dreadnoughts that could crack planets, fast attack ships designed to hunt down refugees, troop transports filled with soldiers who had been told they were coming to clean up a small rebel camp. They had no idea what was waiting for them. All defensive systems are ready, reported Zara from her station. Her fingers danced over controls made of living crystal that responded to her thoughts as much as her touch. The gravitational field generators are charged. Crystal storm amplifiers are standing by. Underground defensive positions are manned and ready. Nexus's crystalline form pulsed with light patterns that Marcus had learned meant determination mixed with sadness. The Korathi deep core systems are online. The planet itself is ready to defend its children. Around the command center, representatives from dozens of species worked at their stations. Former pirates coordinated with ex-military officers. Refugee scientists operated alongside escaped slaves. All of them had found homes on Korath Prime. All of them were ready to fight for the world that had given them new lives. A communication signal came from the enemy fleet. Marcus nodded to Zara, who opened the channel. Veltar's face appeared on the main display. The Zephyrian leader looked older than Marcus remembered, and his skin was a sickly gray color that suggested stress and fear. Human Marcus Chen, Veltar's voice carried across space to the command center. I offer you one final chance. Surrender yourself and order your followers to evacuate. Your defiance has gone too far. The galactic order must be restored. Marcus stepped forward so that the fleet could see him clearly. Veltar, he said in a calm voice, you still do not understand. There is no surrender here. There is no evacuation. This is our home. These are our people. If you want to take our world from us, you will have to go through us. Veltar's skin shifted to the deep red that Marcus remembered from his trial. You cannot fight the combined might of the galactic empires. Human, you are outnumbered 1,000 to 1. Marcus smiled. Numbers are not everything, Veltar. You taught me that when you sent me to die on this world. You thought that because this planet was hostile, I could not survive. You were wrong then. You are wrong now. He looked around the command center at his people, his family, and felt a deep pride in what they had accomplished together. This is not just a battle between your fleet and our defenses, Marcus continued. This is a battle between the old way of thinking and the new way, between those who rule through fear and those who lead through hope, between empires that take and communities that build. Marcus raised his hand. And throughout the command center, his people prepared for battle. You want to see what humans can do when they have something worth protecting? You are about to find out. The first attack came from the Zephyrian dreadnoughts. Massive energy beams that could melt mountains struck Korath Prime's atmosphere, and then something impossible happened. The crystal formations that covered the planet's surface began to glow. The energy from the enemy weapons was not destroying the crystals. It was feeding them. The living crystal network that Marcus and Nexus had spent years growing absorbed the energy and redirected it. Suddenly, the planet itself was fighting back. Gravitational fields that Marcus's people had learned to control grabbed enemy ships and flung them into each other. The crystal storms that had once threatened to kill Marcus now became weapons that tore through enemy hulls like paper. And from the deep caves beneath New Korath City, something rose that no galactic military force had ever encountered before. The Korathi had called them the Deep Ones, massive creatures that lived in the planet's core, made of living crystal and molten metal. For thousands of years, they had slept, but the attack on their world had awakened them. They emerged from caves and cracks in the planet's surface. Beings the size of skyscrapers that moved like liquid light. Where they touched the enemy ships, the metal hulls simply dissolved. This is impossible! Veltar's voice screamed from the communication channel. Deploy all forces! Use the planet cracker weapons! But it was too late. The enemy fleet was trapped by gravitational fields they could not escape. Their weapons were being turned against them by the planet's crystal network, and the Deep Ones were systematically destroying every ship that tried to retreat. In less than 6 hours, the largest military force in galactic history had been reduced to scattered debris floating in space around Korath Prime. Marcus stood in his command center and watched the last enemy ship surrender. Around him, his people were cheering and crying and embracing each other. They had done the impossible. They had defeated the combined might of the galactic empires. But Marcus knew that the real victory was not the battle. The real victory was what came next. Over the following months, delegations from across the galaxy came to New Korath City, not to threaten or demand, but to negotiate and trade. The empires that had tried to destroy Korath Prime now competed with each other to establish diplomatic relations with the new power. Marcus found himself sitting across negotiation tables from the same aliens who had condemned him to die. Now they called him Your Excellence and offered trade agreements, military alliances, and mutual defense pacts. The Galactic Tribunal was disbanded. Veltar and his co-conspirators were put on trial for crimes against sentient beings, the same charges they had once brought against Marcus. But Marcus was not interested in revenge. He was interested in building something better. The old galactic order is dead, he announced in a speech that was broadcast to every inhabited world in the galaxy. It was based on fear, control, and the belief that some species were more worthy than others. We have proven that this is wrong. He stood in the Great Hall of New Korath City, surrounded by representatives from hundreds of worlds and dozens of species. The new order will be based on cooperation, mutual respect, and the understanding that diversity makes us stronger. Any world, any species, any individual who wants to be part of this new galaxy is welcome to join us. Marcus looked out over the assembled delegates and thought about the long journey that had brought him to this moment. From condemned criminal to planetary leader. From death sentence to new beginning. We call ourselves the Free Worlds Alliance, he continued. Our capital is here, on the world that was once considered uninhabitable. Our symbol is the crystal that grows stronger under pressure. Our promise is simple. No one will be cast out. No one will be forgotten. No one will be left to die alone. 5 years after the Galactic Tribunal had sent him to perish on a Class 15 Deathworld, Marcus Chen had become the leader of a new galactic civilization. And in the crystal gardens of New Korath City, children of dozens of different species played together under the red sky of the world that had taught the galaxy that there was no such thing as impossible. The Deathworld had become the birthplace of a new age.